Hello everybody, this is Albert with Green Tea House. I hope you're doing well today. Today we're going to continue the series on teas that we sell and talk about Magnolia Oolong, one of my favorites. Now before I begin, I recommend that you check out the back catalog of episodes, in particular the 101 playlist of what is tea, what's the difference between black tea, oolong tea, and green tea, and so forth. Now Magnolia Oolong is one of my favorite teas. I think it's got a great taste and a great look, and oolong, I feel, is the tea that probably most Americans know the least about compared to, let's say, green tea and black tea. But it's the tea that, in many ways, requires the most finesse. So a quick review. Green tea is not oxidized at all. So in other words, they pluck the tea leaf and then they kill green it, they roll it, they dry, and they ship it. So there's no oxidation or breakdown of the tea leaves. It's the breakdown of the cellular structure of the tea leaves that changes the look, the taste, the color of tea leaves. So on the other side of the spectrum, you're going to have black tea, which is 100% oxidized and broken down. And the best example of that is the large majority of teas that we drink, like sweet teas, or black teas like most chai teas that come in a tea bag are CTC, which means the leaf itself is completely pulverized to, it's just like almost on the spice level. So that's fully oxidized. Oolong is in that middle area where a light oolong, like a magnolia, is going to be 15 to 20% oxidized, and a stronger oolong is going to be maybe 65 to 70% to 75% oxidized. So the look and the taste are going to be fundamentally different. So oolong has the most latitude of look, liqueur, taste, and so forth. The Magnolia Oolong is a light oolong. Other well-known light oolongs would be like Dongding in Taiwan, Alishan High Mountain oolongs. Those are going to be also light. So they're going to be more closer to white tea, which is 5%, and closer to the green tea. So if you're looking for an oolong that's kind of light tasted, then these are what you want, the lightly oxidized ones. Now, tea masters really have to work the hardest on oolong, because let's say you're trying to make a 15% oxidized oolong, you have to break down the tea leaves enough to get to 15%, whatever tea master cultivar you are, for whatever you're known for. But if you break it down too much or too long, then it's going to go too far, and then you've ruined it. So customarily oolong, in the old ways, it would be plucked and it would be withered a little in the sun, and then it would be bruised. And what they would do is they'd put them in and tie up the tea leaves in these white cotton bags and turn them. And that would oxidize it to a certain extent. But what it'll also do is get the tea leaf and turn it into almost like gunpowder pearl green tea, like little balls with a little tail. Nowadays, the way they bruise the oolong tea leaves, and when you think of oolong, you think of bruising. That's the number one thing. Whereas black tea is completely destroyed, and green tea is not destroyed at all. We bruise oolong tea. So the way they bruise it now is they put them in these tumblers and they rotate them, and that's going to bruise them a little. And then again, they don't want to do it too long, too much, because for whatever you're doing, either it be a light oolong or a dark oolong, they have to do it just right. It's like porridge, not too hot, not too cold, just right. So Magnolia Oolong is a lightly oxidized oolong, but also it's infused with magnolia, with the flower magnolia. And as I talked about in the episode on jasmine green tea, it's kind of the same thing, where they're just going to get the tea leaves and place them next to magnolia, and it naturally infuses the aroma of the flower into the leaves, and that's where you have a natural taste. Whereas a lot of unscrupulous tea providers will use essential oils, they'll spray stuff, they'll do all these things to get the certain taste. So I always joke about, like, if you see like a chocolate chip coconut black tea, clearly that's not going to be natural. They're not going to place the tea leaves next to cookies and so forth. But they know that a lot of people, kind of like with essential oils, they know that there's a lot of people who want more of those kind of fake taste. Think of candles too. So Magnolia Oolong, you can definitely smell and taste the flower in the magnolia. The look of it's going to be like a lighter color, whereas black teas, even though they're called black teas, really the liqueur, the color is red. And green teas are going to have like a light green. I would say that the Magnolia Oolong is kind of like a light ruby. In terms of caffeine level, it's not a lot. It's going to be pretty in the middle, not a lot, especially for compared to coffee. But even in the tea world, it's going to be a drink that's not going to have a lot of caffeine. How should you steep it? 1 teaspoon. Again, temperature-wise, we'll go to the episode here on how you should boil your water. The Chinese are not super specific or super picky on that. I would tell you, since it's oolong, about 185 is a good thing for 3 minutes, and do that 3 times. Do 1 session, you re-steep the leaves 3 times. And one of the reasons oolong is a tea that I love is because, so the way they roll it up, they end up putting them in a knot. But when you put in the hot water and you look at the tea leaves afterwards, that leaf going from a knot, because they've turned it and they've rolled it up, and it opens up into the whole flower. And that's one of the beauties I love about oolong, is because it tastes great, but also just the texture of the leaf and the before and after is really great. So we always sell Magnolia Oolong. Definitely check it out. It's one of my favorite teas. Guys, post in the comments. I'd love to hear from you about your history with oolong. Until next time, take care, God bless, and pray.